Good evening.
Everywhere I go on this island, it seems to me I find degeneracy.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes. See, it's a lot scarier when there's no motive, Sid.
We have a bargain.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes.
Do you feel the pain? Well, it's the pain I can assure you will be exquisite.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes.
His entire work consists of violence, all the time, obsessed with the issue of violence. Mayhem, gouging out of eyes, autopsies on the stage.
Come. It is time to keep your appointment.
Well, good evening, chat. I hope you're well. This is episode 160 of Double Feature Horror Show. It's getting kind of long in the title. I did try abbreviating it to DFHS, but the trouble is it just sounds like I'm trying to flog sofas. So I'm just going to have to go with a really long title. So here we are, episode 160, reviewing Hammer's Dracula, 1958, brackets. There we go. That's not too long, is it? Nah, not too long in the tooth, but if it were long in the tooth, it's kind of appropriate. I hope you're well. I'm seeing regulars in chat. That is lovely. Also, hi the Alabastard, making it live. A rare appearance. Theremin Trees, very good to see you. Years, good to see you. Checker222, Mima on time. Very good. Patrick Batman, hi. Howdy. And Baldwin as well. Good to see you. I hope I've missed no one out. If I have, give me a prompt. I'll say hi. It's good to have you here. We are continuing our look at classic Hammer. And last week, after we reviewed The Curse of Frankenstein, gave you a little choice. Said, would you like us to do something that gives Christopher Lee a little more to do? Or would you like sort of The Mummy? I wanted like the classic pairing, but I wondered if you wanted to see something that was more like Frankenstein, or whether you wanted to see Christopher Lee doing a little more. Far away a winner for Dracula. I was hoping I'd bait you towards The Mummy. It didn't work. It didn't work in the slightest, but that's fine. That's absolutely fine. We will go on, and we have some mummy related comments for you as we go on. But I say we. I should probably say who that constitutes. You will not be surprised, folks, to hear that we are rejoined by regular co-host Mergoot. Hello, Mergoot.
Hello. Greetings all.
Would you have voted Dracula or The Mummy? I don't think
actually, The Mummy.
Was that before you saw them?
Yes.
A connoisseur. You're a connoisseur.
Well, just reading about all the fun facts, like one of the stagehands accidentally set the clasp on the door and Sir Christopher Lee dislocated his shoulder breaking through the door. That just intrigued me, and I wanted to see it.
He's a trooper. He'd have kept going.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. We may have to use some clips from it in the future. I can't let people get away without seeing some of it. Also, by the way, guys, while you're here, 20 of you, very nice. Get that like staked. Creep into that crypt and stake that like button. That's what we want to see. And if you haven't already, coax that subscribe into the woods for a little playtime, if you get what I mean. That was a bit Haribo, wasn't it? Anyway, speaking of that, it starts with one thing. I don't know crime. It doesn't even matter how hard I try. It's that crime guy.
Hang on. You said Haribo, speaking of which, and then you go to introduce me.
Well, I mean, there's something going on with that Avi. It's a bit...
Look, Chat, it will make sense as we progress with the stream. I promise you. But hello, good evening, and thank you for having me again. Apparently, my spot's been usurped by Mergu as like the second in command. I haven't forgotten.
Do you want me to rearrange you? Can I even do that?
I don't know if you can. Well, no, I'm always sitting at the bottom here, but I mean,
Yeah.
the other day, you thought I weren't listening, and I heard you say,
We're both regular co-hosts, right?
I mean, to be fair, Mergy, you are more regular than me now.
Look, it's like I'm Dracula, you're my brides. It's fine. Remember, he had about 3 of them in some versions.
He did. Well, I mean, you could argue that he had 3 in this one.
He did as well. That's an interesting one. We're not going to see it in this at all, but there's an interesting inversion. Like Dracula has 3 brides, Lucy has 3 suitors. There's something going on there. What's Bram Stoker going on about? You just got to worry. But we're not going to see it in this because this is. Do you want to say like Dino, Dracula in name only?
Oh, it's
kind of
novel.
We'll get into it. Hello, Kent Jensen. Rare Kent Jensen appearance, bringing some northern class. And I don't mean Scunthorpe. No, very, very northern. Well done. Good to see you. And waifu in chat as well. Bless. Adam Loves Horror also coming in and getting the party started, as Dangerfield might say. Dropping $2 and saying, I'm at work but grateful for y'all. Like and subscribe. Fine advice. We're grateful for you too. Thanks, Adam. Adam, did you vote Dracula or the Mummy? I want to say, like 30% of you voted for the Mummy, so
I'll answer while we're waiting for the lag to catch up. I like Mergu. I would have gone with the Mummy.
Nice.
Just to see how it compares to the Brendan Fraser and Tom Cruise versions. Because I really like the Brendan Fraser one, and I know that the Tom Cruise one wasn't that well received, but I didn't mind it. I thought it was all right, for what it was. I would have liked to have seen how that dark universal sort of universe would have evolved had they cracked on with it. But yeah,
I'd have eaten that up.
Yeah, me too.
That would have been great fun.
Although I have, while I was away, I did catch up with my Winnie the Pooh horror lore, and I purchased the second one. And I will say it is better than the first one, and they kind of go meta in the second one. So the first one isn't really canon. Think of Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey as that film's equivalent of Stab.
Right. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And the second one is the true story.
Huh. This is hard to imagine.
We have to cover them at some point, Horror Show. I will, pardon the pun, but I will hammer that point home.
Ooh, Halloween special, maybe?
It's got to be done. It's got to be done.
I think we need to do something special for Halloween,
Well, you could do, because I mean I think they've done the Grinch as well. That studio. They've done the Grinch. And I think they've either done or are doing Pinocchio.
I thought that was another studio that was doing Pinocchio.
Maybe, but yeah, just these things that have come out of gone into public domain. I mean, yeah.
Let me throw something out. If we're talking about this sort of old children's classics getting the horror treatment, there's a really old one. I want to say 1997, Snow White: A Tale of Terror. Does anyone remember that?
I've not seen that.
Well, I haven't either, but I just remember it in Blockbuster. It was on the shelf. Sam Neill is in it.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Did he play one of the dwarfs?
I've got no idea. I'm just curious. I've always wanted to. I'll say hi to Leslie Russell. I don't recognise her name, but hey, good to see you. Welcome to the live stream.
John Goris, Bubba Hotep is your favorite Mummy movie? I'd put it as second behind the original Universal. And I can't say my favorite quote from Bubba Hotep, but that's just me.
It was a good fun. Well, folks, just to catch everyone up, we've got a short topic. We're going to be looking at spooky horror music videos quickly. And at 30 minutes in, we're going to get into the film. So don't worry. It's going to be, so short topic, as much as we can with the videos in that time. And then we'll start talking Hammer Horror. So just so you know what we're going to do. With that said, oh gosh, I might give us an extra few minutes, just very quickly. Shilling, all my links are in the bottom. You know, this is monetized. Wonderful people like you help me do this stuff, help me justify dedicating the time to this, which I absolutely love doing. And you can support me here or on Subscribestar. I would suggest it is a particularly good time to join as a member because you can get the exclusive content. I may have a little bit more of that coming. And you also get to vote on the topic. So that is my shill very quickly. I've got links to these wonderful gents in, but I'll just give you a quick chance for a shill, folks. So Mergoot, if you want to go ahead.
I'm on X at Mergoot, just various stuff, geopolitics. I've been kind of quiet the past couple weeks because I'm still recovering from the coof, but geopolitics, humor, whatever hits my fancy that day. But I'm starting to pick up a little bit more. Like I said, I had the coof and it kicked my butt hard.
Oh, bless. Well, there you go. Link is in the description. TCG, I believe, has had to step away. So we'll just quickly say you can find his stuff via the link in the description as well. I would recommend his Alien Isolation streams. They were a lot of fun. I got the first two of them. Good fun. Also, him shrieking in soprano never gets old, honestly. I just want to go back and clip. I think I did clip him screaming a few times.
Yeah,
next time I do.
Moriarty has to release a new compilation of new screams.
Sorry, I'm back. Are you talking about my Alien Isolation game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've just heard there was a TCG screaming in soprano supercut. I need to see this.
Who did that?
Not Moriarty put some together, I thought.
Oh, okay.
I did.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, that might be in my Discord. Do you know what? I do need to pick up Alien Isolation again. I've slacked on that. I've been away for the last few weeks. For those who don't know, I went to the Isle of Wight, came back for a day, then went to Margate to watch the bootleg Beatles, which were brilliant. Well done, guy. That was fantastic. And then I went off to Alton Towers for 3 days. 3 days. 3 nighs, spent 2 days there. So it's, long time. And funnily enough, even though I didn't leave the country, I'm brown as heck, man. I should have, I did come back to the mainland on a ferry. I don't know whether or not that entitles me to additional goods and services courtesy of Keir Starmer. I have to check. But I was supposed to do a stream tomorrow for the community quiz, but unfortunately I've had a couple of people drop out. And it might not sound like it because I am dosed up, but my wisdom tooth is coming through, so it's probably for the best. So I'm going to push that back a week. But yeah, the Alien Isolation stuff will have to resume again very soon. But yeah, do check it out. And check out Soma as well. What a game.
Oh, a good callback. Actually, you mentioned Soma. I'll get a final shill in. Good friend of the channel and former co-host Harrian is having a bit of a special tomorrow. It's his 100th episode of, I'll just leave that there. 100th episode of his long-running series, Laughing at the Guardian with Some Whammon. I'm going to be on there as a whammon. He's got 2 extra whammon there. Should be good fun. So pop by, say hi, and congratulate him on 100 episodes. All right. With that said, we talked on, so I think we'll give ourselves maybe 20 minutes for the music videos, and then we'll get into it. All right. So this is our janky format, guys. Here we go. How's that looking? Look at this high-tech bit of glory. Where would you like to start, Murgoot?
Well, let's start with Fever Ray, If I Had a Heart. The children
Wonderful
being
choice.
pulled out of a swamp, voodoo totems everywhere, taken into a cult house where they're all dead, and various spooky things hanging around the walls and the staircase. It's fun. It's the music isn't my cup of tea, but the videography was pretty cool and the imagery.
Yeah, you may have noticed. I mean, it might not be your thing, but I bet you've heard this song all over the place. Like Vikings had it. Apparently, that Netflix series, Sabrina, Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. And there's another one that used it as a theme tune recently. And it's escaping my mind, but I've seen it a whole bunch of places. It's caught on, very much so. I'm a little biased because I love it, really. I love the design. It's weird. I also detected a narrative in this one that I really liked. It's kind of simple, but you're in what looks to me like New Orleans bayou swampland. You've got what appears to be like primitive tribal groups there and people fleeing. And it looks to me like the basic storyline is they've come out of the swamps and taken revenge on people who've set up there and basically raided, I assume, some of their artifacts and displayed them around the house. That was the vibe I got, that they've you see them sort of prowling around at sort of dog level, and then I thought that was the narrative going on there.
That seems pretty apropos. I thought the house was more of a plantation for a cult, but the revenge sounds a little bit better, like the children being pulled out of the swamp into the lake.
Yeah, the masks are kind of like frog-like. I mean, Patrick Batman said it's kind of like Call of Cthulhu. Yeah. Yeah, I can see it, except it going a lot better for the cultists. Yeah, you've got that second part of Call of Cthulhu, haven't you, where they come across a sort of, I think that island is...
Bayou.
It is in the bayou.
Rossi.
Yeah. That one, they just massacre all the cultists, if I recall.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one, other way round. But, like, it's subtle. It's not overstated. It's very dreamlike. To leave time for everything for the other videos, I would just say this is extremely strong. This sticks in my brain. Also, the imagery of the lead singer with the sort of skull makeup. Wonderful, wonderful and haunting. I was trying to see if I thought I had saved that somewhere else, but I don't think I have. No, I'm going to assume I have not actually saved that. So we'll go with this wonderful little frog kids there. How would you be rating this?
Personally, I'd rate it a strong B, but I don't know. You seem to rate it a lot higher.
I do, but I'll happily go for a B. As I realize I'm mostly upvoting it because I really like the song. I liked a fair few of the ones from them. The knife, what was it? Heartbeat? Yeah. Anyway, nice, haunting, original imagery. We need more swamp horror. We need much more swamp horror, you know? We got like Hatchet.
Or The Key, or...
Ooh, key horror. Yeah. Also, I realized TCG did not was busy and did not manage to watch these. So forgive the quietness. It's totally understood. Not everyone.
I'm doing my homework as we speak. The Devil and I. I'm listening to that right now. Just
all right. We'll bump The Devil and I. We'll discuss another one.
Oh no! When I'm finished, I'll bump that one.
All right, sweet. Well, we'll cover a quick one. This is one we didn't get to last time. Could I suggest Meshuggah, Bleed?
Interesting stuff. The guy who gets captured and tries to escape and eventually gets converted into a demonic slave dog. All I could think of was there is only Zool, the two watch demons and Ghostbusters.
Oh.
That's all I could think of at the end.
You know, sorry, Margaret, I've just remembered I didn't post the list of videos for everyone. So unless they went back to the original post from a while ago, they don't know what we're going to cover. Folks, I can only hope with us saying the names of the songs that you become curious. Forgive me. Maybe some of them you'll know, some of them you won't, but oh dear. Sorry, folks. I will once again plea new child-based sleep deprivation. I did mean to. So
the imagery of the Buddha-like demon with the 3 arms, that was very intriguing, very creepy.
Yeah, I don't know if I saved one from that because I had is it this one? I may have. Yeah, this guy.
Yep.
So I wasn't going for this initially, but it's kind of hard to follow, isn't it? For folks who haven't seen the video, there's a guy in between sort of musical performance exploring something being snapped at by a sort of dog demon creature and exploring some weird artifact, and you cut back and forth between him and this Zen guy with the 3 arms. It's a lot. It might seem kind of random, but I think there was a narrative here as well. Like the guy was ruled by desire. He was pursuing something, maybe knowledge, but either way, he was pursuing in a sort of very Hellraiser way, seeking something forbidden. He was being warned off by the demon, the weird demon bondage dog guy. Very, very Soho. And eventually he gets what he wants, but in doing so, it takes him over. He's ruled by his desire, and he ends up enslaved, literally becoming a dog creature. And in contrast to that, the guy, in contrast to being ruled by your desires until they effectively transform you and take over, you've got Mr. Zen here. Look at how calm he is. He's super chill. And because he's Zen, because he's calm, he's mastered his desire, he doesn't get corrupted. Maybe a screamy death metal video, but there's some Zen logic in there, and I quite liked that.
Yeah. Well, the song is great for what it is. Meshuggah is a lot of fun when I'm in the mood for it.
Do you know why it's Meshuggah?
It's Yiddish and Hebrew for crazy.
I was going to say, I wonder if that was because I know like Meshuggah is like your classic Yiddish. Everyone knows Meshuggah. It was in South Park. Yeah, the South Park movie messed up Meshuggah, Quiet Mountain Town at the end. So, right, okay, their name is literally just the Yiddish. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, all right. Being quick, did you have anything more on Meshuggah's Bleed?
I'd score it a solid B. It's well done. It's the music itself isn't for everybody, but it's a decent video. It's not A tier and it's definitely not S tier, but it's definitely effective at what they wanted to portray.
It's how can I say? It's got the narrative. But it feels more music video. So the narrative isn't as obvious. It's not a distinct story. But it's not broke. Oh wait, no. Did it actually have the band playing in it? My memory is escaping me.
My memory is escaping me too. I don't believe so.
Yeah, I'm trying not to think. I see kind of like a divide between the ones where you see the band and the ones where you don't. And I tend to rate them higher if you don't see the band. Anyway, TCG, before we move on to Slipknot, any fondness for Meshuggah?
I normally have 2 with my tea.
I was going to say they're not my cup of tea either. It was all right. It's a little heavier than I like my metal. You're a metal guy, TCG?
Not really. No, not really. You probably would have been best to have Harry in for this one.
Of course.
If you're talking about heavy metal and rock and that sort of stuff, growing up, I was more into my hip hop, but I am sort of an all round. If it sounds good, I like it kind of guy.
Yeah, I don't mind progressive death metal, but Meshuggah is a lot of fun when I'm in the mood. I'm much more new wave of British heavy metal, Iron Maiden, etc. Priest, power metal like Halloween, or in prog metal like Dream Theater, etc. And then whatever suits my fancy beyond that.
Yeah, you are definitely our expert here, Mergu. I don't know basically any of those bands. Well, Iron Maiden, obviously. Fair. I'm being mocked for my inability to take a bit of metal. Guys, you know I'm a Sarah McLachlan appreciator. There's nothing I like better than watching some horrible disembowelings in a movie and then putting on some Sarah McLachlan or maybe even a bit of Michelle Branch to chill out to. Maybe Fiona Apple, you know? You can't expect me to know Powerwolf or Opeth, you know. Way out of my comfort zone. With that said, TCG, are you ready for us to do Slipknot, The Devil in Me?
I will give you The Devil in I.
Oh, sorry, The Devil in I.
Let's get our grammar correct, horror shows. You know,
called out, yes, justifiably.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I mean, I do like Slipknot. It's weird. It's weird because I think when I think of bands like Linkin Park and Slipknot, I think of this was, to me, these kind of bands represent what we as white folk were responding to the hip hop culture, which was like completely the opposite as to what they were doing. But yeah, having just watched this, first impressions are, what a video! Some great effects there. It's very much it very much felt like a lunatics taking over the asylum kind of video. Very, very violent. A lot of let's
death by their own fears.
Yeah.
That's the guy who's pecked and raked to death by ravens, the guy who has autophagia mania, where he eats himself.
There's another guy who sets himself on, who self-immolates and then gives himself
a Haitian suntan.
Yeah, gives himself a long drop off a short bridge.
It had a good vibe. This one,
I
like
himself.
You'll have noticed, obviously, loads of allusions early on to Saw.
Yeah.
You know,
a bit of you're saying there with the old pinhead guy. You know, you're getting the old Hellraiser Hellraiser vibe. Dead End Satellite. I was going to call myself that before we went on the stream, but I felt like that would be taken out of context massively. So I just went with the image instead.
Yeah.
But it will make sense. I promise.
Patrick Batman, correct? Yeah. Poltergeist face rip and very nicely done. I've got to say.
Yeah.
We had all sorts of cute references. I liked it. You did see the band playing.
Yeah.
So it sort of takes away. We're not really getting a narrative as much.
I felt that
it's distinctly it's a music video.
Yeah.
Clips,
as I was listening to it, because I had you in the other ear, and I heard you say that the last one that you were listening to felt very much like a music video more than a sort of narrative-driven story. Yeah, I mean, for this, it just felt like cookie cutter music video with some, nice. Well, I say nice, but some very sort of interesting scene choices thrown into it. I loved it though. I thought it was brilliant. Good song to. I was sort of doing the old head rocking.
It made me think I need to check out some Slipknot because I'll be honest. All right, backstory. I like that first album. Yes, I was putting on Sarah McLachlan's Mirror Ball, but I also would appreciate a bit of Wait and Bleed. From the original album. What's why not both? Porque no las dos, guys. I thought the guy making his head into a piñata had to be a Scanners homage, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Just the way it was at a desk, slightly distance. I thought, oh yeah, that's Scanners.
Yeah, and then the dog attack in the elevator.
Yeah.
All I could think of was The Omen and Brain Fart. What was the other one with the death by dog attack?
Oh, I mean,
Cujo.
A few, Cujo. Lots of dog attacks in The Mouth of Madness. Kind of a standard one.
Yeah.
Yes, Patrick Batman. Eclectic tastes, a wide variety, but we just love diversity, Patrick. We just like a diversity. This was just good. It was cozy. Is there a narrative? Was I horrified? Well, not hugely, but I was very entertained. It seems like more like horror fans making something that would appeal to horror fans.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I would just say S tier for the hell of it because I thought the effects were really good. I thought,
a rogue S tier. Oh, I mean, I love the enthusiasm. I don't know if I can go that high.
Oh,
how about you, Mergu? Am I way out?
I'd be low A just for the production quality and the gruesomeness of various deaths. It's
the
song is a lot of fun.
It's a good song. I'll go for that. TTG, would you be satisfied with an A?
Well, you're the one who runs the show, Horror Show. So, do I really get a choice?
I'm a democracy respecter, as we all know.
Well, as someone said earlier in the chat, democracy. I'm just finding it now because I can't remember exactly what they said. Fez, democracy is cringe.
You said the thing,
and I have to agree. So you get the final say. I will just do my job, shut up, and be a good boy.
Oh, bless. Fair play. Okay, so where's the one I wanted? I've got a very quick one, the Marilyn Manson one.
Oh, yes.
And the thing is, I didn't complete this because this turned into absolute prawn. And so I think I turned it off after about 2 minutes. I could not make it. I'm sorry. A glass eyeball went into a place I didn't expect it to. And it took me a while to work out what I was seeing. But I had to turn it off. So
yeah, it got better after that because he started killing the pervs, especially the funny uncle. The crucifix pistol was just hilarious. It blows away the funny uncle at the end.
I did get Haribo vibes from that uncle. Apologies to anyone who's kind of new to the stream and is like, what do they mean Haribo? You'll pick it up.
Kids and grown-ups love it so.
Oh, the happy world of Haribo. Haribo macht Kinder froh und Erwachsene ebenso. Isn't that right, chat? As we all know.
Yeah, well, even the Germans made it. Even the Germans made it rhyme. That's impressive.
The Germans would know. Does anyone know the French?
No.
Chat, let us know. Let us know the French if it's good.
Sacre bleu, Harry bleu.
Imagine if it was Sacre Bleu, Harry Bleu. I would love it. I mean, Mergu, I couldn't watch this. It would be F tier for me. And I quite like a bit of the Old Manson, but
yeah, I'd give it a B just for solid production value, and the end kind of redeemed all the despicable stuff in the center. But you didn't make it through. I'd give it a solid B.
You make a fine case. I'm afraid for being absolute porn and putting an eyeball in a place an eyeball shouldn't go. I've got to overrule. It's getting the old F. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry. This was a hard no for me.
The glass eye implanted in the hoo-ha just kind of turned you completely off.
Exactly. All right, we have. So I'm being told there are references to Holy Mountain by Jodorowsky. I'm afraid I have not seen that. Maybe they came in after I had to leg it. Maybe we'll
The Sound
There's
and
one
the
thing
Fury
we-
reference was cool. The Macbeth reference was cool.
They were appreciated, but that eyeball, man. Okay, we've got to be quick. There's one more that we absolutely have to do because we've done this as the topic for like 4 weeks in a row. So there's one we have to get out. We're going to take a break from music videos. So this is the last music video. Broken.
Yeah.
Or the Broken movie, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
just absolutely banned. Trent Reznor made Broken to try and break his contract. And then he made a movie out of 4 of the songs that would absolutely repulse everybody. And this was 1992, I believe.
Was this the 20-minute one that you said?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I only was familiar with a 3-minute segment from it, which is from the original video for Happiness and Slavery.
Right.
I did not know it was part of a 20-minute piece, which comes as
Well,
just
they
this.
incorporated the videos into the movie and based the frame around the serial killer doing his thing and then getting hung and decapitated.
Oh, lovely.
And yet being very happy about it, He's got a smile on his face.
The Happiness and Slavery part starred Bob Flanagan, super masochist. Everything shown in that, besides the penectomy and him being ground into meat, actually happened to him. Because that was his sideshow stick. He's a performing masochist, or he was until he died in 96 from cystic fibrosis.
Yeah, I think even without knowing that the stuff, we should maybe set a little bit of groundwork. If you have not seen the Broken movie, which you can bizarrely find on YouTube, there's a particular section where a man in a suit walks into a room, neatly takes off and folds his clothes, and then sits in a chair, which then locks him in and just tortures him in a variety of ways until it basically offs him. It's quite amazing, quite a show. And the way you go between the footage, where it starts off with this really abstract one where you get the vibe that this tube going into this man's costume, you see it's connected to a urinal.
A toilet. Yep. Yep.
There's how can I say, the way it cuts between them, this might sound like a really odd comparison, but I was really reminded of the Silent Hill 2 like intro movie. You get little snippets of narrative and then just really disgusting, disturbing imagery. And it really struck me as that. I mean, that was made in 1999, so it's 7 years after this, but that style really stuck in my head.
This was made to be unreleasable, and it was on the bootleg market for a long time. One of my buddies is absolutely obsessed with Nine Inch Nails from when Pretty Hate Machine came out in '88. I remember watching Down in It and Head Like a Hole on Teletoons when they first came out. And then we both bought Broken and Fixed the weeks they came out. Fixed is the remix EP for Broken. But it took him a couple of years, I think 95 or 96, he finally got his hands on a bootleg VHS of the movie, and he just watched it continuously.
There's something really intriguing about that, like the era pre-internet where tapes had to be passed around, they had to be bootlegged, you'd trade rare tapes. We are quite spoiled in how easy it is to get everything. Whereas like there's that cool culture of where you'd just be amazed if you managed to get your hands on something rare. One of the things that was really difficult to get your hands on in Britain for ages was a Child's Play movie, which, pretty mainstream, pretty tame now, but in Britain, really hard to get your hands on.
Which one? The first one?
Yeah.
Makes sense. When did that come out, that first one?
Okay, hang on. I want to say 88?
Yeah.
Do you want to fact check me?
I'll take your word for it. I think
Psycho 2 is 1980. Let's just check Child's Play.
Because I'm wondering whether that.
Oh, it is 88.
88.
Yeah,
yeah.
And my dad yet says because of the Bulger killing, I'm thinking
correct.
Possibly also, and to a lesser extent, the Suzanne Kappa one. I mean, I covered that one on my channel. But yeah, that one of the things they made her do was they slapped headphones on her and they made her listen to a Chucky song on repeat, like hours on end. And one of the people who were doing bad things, Neil, I'm being YouTube friendly, would constantly like sort of role play as Chucky as well.
Yeah, mess up. And the weird thing is the Bulger killing more aligned with the third Child's Play.
Same with this one, yeah.
But it's the first one that was hard to get.
Yeah.
So like even into, I want to say the mid 2000s, I wanted to get my hands on it. I had to import a Dutch version. You had to do that for a lot of stuff. I had to do that for The Corner, the sort of prequel to The Wire.
Oh wow!
I couldn't get it in the UK. Had to get a Dutch DVD. Fun times. I'm hearing a request to let Ted in. Right, so there's going to be a brief Ted break. Do continue.
I've got nothing to say. I didn't catch the music video, unfortunately, but this one still alone tells me everything I need to know. Avoid.
It's a hard
brutal.
watch.
It's brutal.
There's am I right in like there's kind of a logic in it in that, particularly the happiness is slavery segment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking it's kind of like a drug addiction metaphor, like the fact that you try and be respectable, but there's compulsion, and when he's injecting, it's a horrible, torturous thing, but the choice is taken out of his hands.
Yeah.
That was a kind of metaphor I got from him.
Well, there was a running gag that Nine Inch Nails' first 3 albums made Trent Reznor a millionaire off of one bad breakup. one psycho girlfriend put him on the creative bent. It's not true, but that was the running gag for a while.
That'd be efficient. Taylor Swift needed about 9 of them. Rude. Anyway, apologies, guys. We like a bit of Taylor Swift here too. We should actually rate this in terms of being horrifying. I mean, in terms of being horrifying, I was genuinely horrified. It was a tough watch.
Hang on. How can you put Marilyn Manson to F if you were genuinely terrified by it? You couldn't even finish that one. Surely that should be an S tier. If you're basing it just on horror value alone or shock value.
Well, I made it all the way through, but the Manson, it just turned into prawn.
Yeah, and you were horrified and shocked by that, and you were like, you tapped out. I think if you tap out, it should be an automatic S. Just saying.
It's a powerful argument, and yet,
but like I say, you are Mein Führer, so you know you can remain. You can override. Still, you can still.
I might go for it. I mean, I feel like this is S tier for just being effort and compulsion and effort, being compulsive, being effective. Like I winced watching this. Compelling is the word I want. Apologies.
It's very much a classic underground from the 90s. I mean, there was hype for this film all the way down the line. I mean, it took my buddy a couple of years to find a bootleg copy of it, and he was actively searching.
Yeah, I just love that lore behind it and the extra atmosphere. Like you think, trying to get your hands, like the rumor, there'd be rumors of like what was in it, whether it existed. That I can hear Teddy. I know he wants to get in. I want to pitch this for an S.
I'll give you that. It is a classic of the genre. The underground industrial genre, even though he'd broken big.
Nice.
I mean, he did it just to piss off his record company and make it absolutely unwatchable, unreleasable. And because when the studio producers saw it, they were like, holy crap! We can't do anything with this. Get this the hell away from us.
Yeah, I mean, fair play to everyone. They made a good decision. He made a good decision. I think everyone was happy.
Pretty much like every Paul skit in an Eminem album.
Oh, God. Yes. If you know, you know. Is that what they say? Is that what the cool kids say?
You know. Yeah. I don't know about cool, but that's what they say.
Oh, dear. It's Paul Berman, isn't it? No, Steve Berman. I'm mixing up. Oh, now I don't know. No, I've got my Pauls mixed up. I'm thinking of the Steve Berman bits in the ICP skits. Ah, dear. Never mind. Folks, if you're keeping score, I do have Teddy here. He was taking quite a fussing. I think you're probably going to hear him a fair bit tonight.
I think it's Paul Rosenberg. Paul Rosenberg,
that's the guy. Well, folks, I realise we've gone 3 minutes over what I allotted, so I will move us on. I want to say a massive thank you to Patrick Batman for suggesting the topic and providing the list of videos. We mostly worked through that list. We added a couple of our own that we really wanted to cover, like Durit so gut, but it was mostly his suggestion. So thank you very much. That turned out to be a really fun topic. We're 4 weeks of that, great fun. We do, but we'll take a little break. We may come back to it in time. But with that said, 48 minutes in, nearly Goosebumps territory. Let's talk Dracula from 1958. So to catch people up, this is the follow-up. I don't think the direct follow-up. I do. Thank you, Teddy. Sorry, he has now jumped on my lap. This will be, as long as he doesn't knock the microphone, I think we'll get away with this. So this is a film produced, I think, not directly after Curse of Frankenstein, but very soon after. We covered briefly last week that Hammer was revitalized after becoming, making its own movies in the 1930s and then fading into just being a distribution center, basically. Other documentaries have covered it in better detail. If you want to, you could see History of Horror by Mark Gatiss for a very good documentary. If you want to watch the second part of that, I believe focuses on Hammer. But we're talking about this period in the 50s where Hammer has ceased being just a distribution hub, and the son of the owner of the overall holding company Exclusive Films persuades him that they want to start making movies again. They get some American funds injected and start producing. They lead off with some early touches like sci-fis that made the use of the X certificate to get a bit of notoriety. So X the Unknown, Quatermass, the Quatermass Experiment. And those did pretty darn well, but they wanted to branch out, so they were trying The Curse of Frankenstein, The Abominable Snowman. But it's Curse of Frankenstein going into Technicolor, which really helps sell it. That red really pops. The blood in particular that they're using, by the way, is a type called Kensington Gore, British produced. It's one of our innovations. But it's that particular brand of blood and how it interacts with the filming process that means it has that bright red that's so distinctive that they kind of make sure you see it very early on. If I can find the title here, there we go. This feels like a bit of a thesis statement. This is our title card. Well, this is what I've taken for the title card. Of course, Dracula has another title, as you will know. Guys, did your version, was it called Dracula, or did you get the American title?
I got the American title, Horror of Dracula. They did it to avoid a copyright suit from Universal Pictures.
True. Yeah, this is made in a weird... mine had Horror of Dracula, I'll say. I don't know what you had, TCG. Did you get the British just Dracula, or did you
just
get
Dracula?
Horror?
Yeah, I got mine off Prime, so
nice,
free on that. So yeah, just Dracula.
It's all good. Yeah, I mean, you can understand the need to stand out, and this was still in a stage where Universal were being very protective of their property. But as I was trying to say, Curse of Frankenstein was that big hit. It put a load of money into Hammer. It showed them the direction they want to take, and they were snappy. They were full of energy. They didn't want to wait around. They were making film after film after film, and they kind of had a blueprint. Basically, let's do the Universal classics, but just zhuzh them up. Let's make them fast. Let's update them. Let's have a bit of fun with all the gore we can use, and let's make the most of this Technicolor. Now, it'll seem kind of dated to us, but this was very modern stuff at the time. This was very boundary pushing. If you remember last week, I read a little bit about the BBFC saying they were quite scandalized by the stuff in here.
Sorry, yeah. Yeah, and to a degree, I can see why. I mean, especially towards the very end of the film, there was a special effects. I'm sure we'll get into it later, but there was a special effects moment at the end, which made me think, oh, okay, that's I wasn't expecting that for a 1958. 1958, it was 58, wasn't it? 1958. Yeah. I wasn't expecting that for a film in the 50s. It's quite impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty darn good. And that was a bit that I believe actually that was only restored relatively recently, as in the last 10 years. So I think there was more footage of the disintegration that had been cut out of European releases, but they found a Japanese print that had more footage of it.
Oh, nice.
So we got some, it's kind of like the Wicker Man, we managed to add in maybe not the highest quality footage, but we did get it back in. I just see Leslie Russell saying Prince of Darkness is your favorite. Yeah, I could understand that. I could understand that. I mean, it was one of their most prolific series. Christopher Lee, maybe not the biggest fan of it. As he went on, he has had some interesting comments, but it did provide a lot of room for experimentation. In covering this, where this round, this arc, we're just doing the classic Hammer. So what I've tried to do is choose films that are going to distill what Hammer was down. So we're doing this early stuff because effectively this is the Hammer formula early on. It's Peter Cushing is your protagonist, increasingly of a sort of far more obviously good type. Christopher Lee is your antagonist, and you've got your Terence Fisher directing, and you've got Jimmy Sangster writing, and that is all just sort of doing what you can with the facilities at Bray Studios. It is a tight formula, and they made it work. Like they got out, I think, like 5 movies in 3 years, which is not bad going. So Frankenstein, Dracula, The Mummy all come out within 3 years, and they managed to get another 2 in there as well. It's also my contention that, okay, I did kind of want us to do The Mummy, and I want that mostly because The Mummy to me feels a lot more like the mold of Curse of Frankenstein, but with a lot more finesse. I think in that we're going to see a bit more confidence in the directing from Terence Fisher. But even in Dracula, made just, a few months after Curse of Frankenstein, I think we see some notable, some notable improvements in the direction. I'll highlight for you as we go on, but hopefully you like what we're doing. Next up, we're going to get into the sort of saucier realm of horror. Of Hammer horror. I'll give you guys a choice, a vote on next week's again, because I think that's working out well. With that said, something I should ask. This feels perfunctory, but Margut, was this your first watch? Oh, Margut has told me he's having coughing fits. Sorry, Margut, you good?
It's.
Sorry,
no, it wasn't my first watch, but I watched it as a kid back in the 70s. And I'm ducking out now.
Sorry, Margut in recovery. I need to remember. TCG, how about you? First watch?
First watch.
Noise. And much experience with Hammer generally?
Only, to be fair, it's only the experience that I've had through this channel.
Well, we've dodged Hammer for years.
Yeah. So the answer to that then is a no, because I've said it before, but I never really dipped into like your old school, like classical horrors. I've always been sort of in for it from, I suppose, like before I started doing these streams, I would say probably the late 70s would be sort of my cutoff point. Things like there's a couple of exceptions, of course, like Night of the Living Dead. But yeah, generally sort of speaking, anything sort of like Night of the Living Dead 2 onwards, I would sort of be into. 80s, 90s for me was peak. But yeah, I mean, this channel's opened my eyes to a lot more, so I'm not going to complain about that.
That's all good. I mean, to be honest, TCG, I don't know Hammer all that well. I've seen a bunch of them, but I did a little course in preparation for this, and it just made me aware of how little I knew. Just this is why I've divided it. We're going to do classic Hammer, which is sort of the Hammer everyone thinks of.
Right.
But we're also, the next arc, we'll have a break, but the next arc will be like Weird Hammer.
Okay.
So we're going to have all the oddities. And I think we'll lead with the mid 1930s one with Bela Lugosi. just to remind you that they did. Well, I didn't even know that they made films in the 1930s. So we'll get the weird stuff as well, like Captain Kronos and what Hands of the Ripper. I think maybe throw that in.
Oh, that sounds naughty.
Oh no, that's next week. TCG.
Okay.
I mean, Hammer, you probably know it gets a reputation for, I mean, how can I say? You know how Twitch is like the type of streamer that's popular on Twitch?
Right. Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Hammer was onto that vibe a long time ago.
Get in.
Yes.
Thanks so much for the $2 sub.
Yeah. We're gonna get a little bit of that Twitch streamer energy in for next week's
Amaranth gang, am I right?
Hands of the Stripper. That's amazing.
It's not the hands we're interested in, Patrick. It's not the hands.
Oh yeah. Hang on, Devonte. I don't know about 1900s, but certainly the mid 1930s. Or do you just mean Hammer? So Hammer were making movies in the 1930s, but then they went a bit bankrupt, and all they could do is be a distro hub. So massive break. 20-year break until they started releasing movies again or making their own. So yeah, I was surprised as well. I didn't know about the the 1913 Frankenstein. Obviously, I tend to think of like the 1931 James Whale one. Anyway, gosh. So what should we say about this one? We talked about how this is made very speedily. Like they were really dab hands at just sort of getting the film made super quick. And one of the reasons they can get them done so quickly, as I said last week, is they've kind of got a formula. They're going to use Peter Cushing. They're going to use Christopher Lee. They've got a staple of regulars. They've got one location they know they will be using, Bray Studios, and increasingly they will reuse it. We're not going to see it so much in this episode, but for next week, I'll try and do you a little compilation of the more iconic bits of Bray Studios that just recur again and again and again. Because once you've seen a few of them, you're just, how can I say, you can't help but notice and be like, wait, I know that window. It's kind of like when you watch Supernatural and you're just like, oh, it's that motel set.
Yes.
You know, they changed the wallpaper, but obviously
it's the same.
They changed like the divider, but it's the same motel set over and over.
Yeah.
It's bad, isn't it? I can even spot their main house set that they redress. It's like the big wide arch.
I recognise that glass partitioning from any.
Yeah. It's terrible, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Nerds. What can we do? So yeah, once again, this is that same team. Terence Fisher directing, using a script by Jimmy Sangster, and bringing in all your principals, including another friendly face from last time, popping up very early, not sticking around very long, sad to say. Where is she? Here she is. Whoa. Now, I think TCG, you won't have seen her, but everyone else in chat who watched last week, they might remember this woman. Murgut, did you recognize her?
I mean, they are some cheekbones.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah. This is our saucy maid. This is Valerie. Yes, Patrick Batman, you've got it. Yeah, that was the maid. Justine last week. This week, just Vampire Woman. I wanted to know if she was going to be one of the regular, Hammer beauties. Was she going to be up there with Hazel Court and Ingrid Pitt? By the way, Ingrid Pitt's great bit of Cockney rhyming slang. The Enriab also correct, yeah. So this is Valerie Gaunt. She doesn't actually become a regular Hammer girl. She only does these 2 films and then she disappears. She marries a respectable gent, and and yeah, stopped.
Sorry, I just saw Patrick's comment.
Oh yeah, she got absolutely wrecked. She's like, she goes to him basically, Frank, but I'm pregnant. You know, you've got to be the father. And he's like, oh, could have been any guy in town.
Brilliant.
Oof. Yeah, absolutely evil. Really good stuff. So yeah, they're reusing this actor as well. I picked up another one as well. Oh gosh, it's early on, and does anyone recognize Switzerland being reused from last week?
Well, I don't because I wasn't here.
No worries.
But is that the same backdrop?
It's the same backdrop.
Wow.
And I think I didn't have time to verify, but I believe this building here, sorry, I'll do it so I can actually get my math. I believe this was used as well.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, it's striking me as very familiar. I didn't get to verify, but I think it was used. But yeah, that's Bray Studios. I thought we'd have a lot more similarity.
You call it lazy, Devontae, but if you're making to me, it's no different these days with video game developers, like the independent ones, the smaller ones, using the same like the same skins. Like there's this YouTuber that me and my son watch because he loves his horror games. It's called Fooster, and we watched. I think it must have been like 3 or 4 videos back to back. Now the YouTuber never picks up on this. He never comments on it. But to be fair, the videos are quite far apart in between. It just so happened that these were like 3 of the 4 videos we watched back to back. And in each one, they used the same house for each game. One of them was like it was effectively like a spot the difference kind of game. Spot the anomaly kind of game. Another one was just like, and then the other 3 were just like your standard sort of horror jump scare ones. But yeah, to me, it's kind of like a cost cutting / time saving thing. And yeah, like I say, if you're on a strict budget and you know you can get these things quickly and readily available, then you kind of do it, don't you?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a lot more economical, basically.
Yeah.
I get what you mean. Like if they did absolutely nothing to redress, but it's a bit more. How can I say? It was really standard at the time. Like the big studios in America have massive set lots. So you would have like there's a street set that basically everything used if it was made at that studio, because it was economical for them to build this one massive set of a street and just let 40 films use it every year. Rather than trying to do location shooting.
Yeah. Do you remember the song by Nelly and Kelly? Nelly, I love you. I need you. Nelly,
yeah, that one.
That
do.
one?
Yes.
That video was shot on Wisteria Lane. Now, for those who don't know, Wisteria Lane is the fictional street of Desperate Housewives. They use the entire street, and it's the same. It is the same like sets, like internals and everything. My wife was pointing out, oh, this is Susan Meyer's house. Look, see, there's the stairs there, and that would be no kitchenware and stuff like that.
Oh, crikey!
Yeah, same set. Yeah.
Was it called Dilemma?
It was. Yes, that's it. Dilemma. Thank you.
Nice one, Devontae.
There's an infamous scene where she's texting Nelly, right? And I think I brought this up on stream before. Yeah, And I literally only found this out the other day or the other week. And she's texting Nelly. And she's not actually texting him. She's actually writing on Microsoft Excel.
That's how I keep my hoes informed.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, this is interesting. Ilsa She-Wolf of the SS reused the Hogan's Hero camp set. Many such cases. Yeah, they basically had to be economical, really. I know the Twilight Zone occasionally wrote an episode around a set being available. So one of them is this has come up in research recently. Don't ask why. A 3rd season episode called Death's Head Revisited had to do a story set in a not very good camp in Germany, if you get me. And they were using an old Western series set that had basically collapsed in the studio. I was like, well, come on, someone use it. Someone make use of this set. If you want something even worse, Bray Studios is still going today, but I'm afraid it does have new owners. Would you like to know what's being made at Bray Studios today?
Does it begin with P and end in N?
It's definitely got a P in it.
Pop music.
No, I'm afraid it's Rings of Power.
Oh.
I'm very sorry. It is Amazon's Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power is now made in Bray Studios.
I will say I haven't watched any of it, but then again, I still haven't watched the original trilogy. So yeah, it would be a bit blasphemous if I watched that before before the actual thing that made
Rings of Power will turn you off from watching the original.
Yeah, just not even once. I'm sorry. It's just like I'm sorry, professional streamers, Critical Drinker crew. I'm sorry, you cannot go. You cannot be like, oh my god, it's the worst slop ever. Oh, it's disgusting slop, and then immediately go back and be like, oh, give me another portion. Give me an extra stanky portion. I can't stand it.
Oh, that word. That word.
They just they complain, but then the second they get a chance, they grease up their lips and slap them on the slop pipe. I mean, and they just start chugging.
Do you know what I mean? I am a strong advocate, a proponent of don't hate watch, but I do think that there is a place to a degree for people like your Critical Drinkers, your Maulers, your Az's to be the people who basically jump into that pit so you don't have to. I mean, my reasons for not watching Rings of Power aren't anything to do with the quality of the show. It's purely because I haven't watched the original movies, and not so much fussed about the actual. I wouldn't go and read the books first, then watch the movies. I'm happy to jump straight in with the movies. Mm-hmm. It's just purely because I haven't got around to watching them. I mean, again, as I say, it would be weird to sort of start with the with the franchise, like right. It'd be like me starting with Star Wars by jumping in and watching The Acolyte.
Oh,
I mean,
no,
I've heard things about that.
Never. So back on track. We talked a little bit about the production detail here. We should probably talk about this story now. This is a short film, super short. In fact, why it is so short? Why is that? Because if it's a super short film, it's very suited to the double bill market. This came out when it was released. The Hammer did a double feature. They linked it up with the Curse of Frankenstein again. Isn't that neat?
Nice. Yeah? That's quite cool.
Very nice. Very nice. I'm pretty sure that is how the original was. So cool. Oh, double features. You absolutely love to see it. But this was 87 minutes long?
An hour
or less, was it?
78 minutes.
Hour and 78.
About 80 minutes, and Curse of Frankenstein, I believe, was about 87. But
okay. The wiki is. I think my version was a tad longer, but the wiki is saying 82.
Oh,
they might be taking off credits. They sometimes take off credits for these.
What's this? A bit sus. Frankenstein spills it. Dracula drinks it.
Oh gosh, deeply subversive.
In the screen's greatest double creature feature, a double dose of full color thrills. And the way they're just looking at those whamming.
Yeah, you notice that the woman in peril is there in both of them. Oh dear. Yeah, they look. They made a deal with the BBFC early on that they would keep the sex and the violence separate, but they did not keep to that deal. I mean, we made the case that basically in Curse of Frankenstein, they were bringing on the source, and they will only intensify it. Now, we did talk about Jimmy Sangster writing this one, so he had done a good job with Curse of Frankenstein. And in doing Dracula, he knew what he needed to do. He needed it to be nice and lean. I'll just get us some interior at Brace Studios here. Mergu, I know because of your cough, you're not in a place to do the Guinness summary. TCG, would you be up for it, or do you want me to take the bullet?
No, I'll give it a go.
All right, so
like
quick Guinness summary.
Yeah, like you say, it's a very short film, so I suppose there isn't really much to talk about in terms of what the content of this film is. It's essentially typical Dracula being hunted by some vampire hunters. You get your chap in them at the beginning. I can't remember his bloody name, but then I never do. Who goes to Dracula's castle as under the guise of being, I suppose he was a librarian, under the guise of being a librarian to archive and
Jonathan Harker.
Jonathan Harker, thank you. Yeah, he goes in under the guise of being a librarian to document and store books. But in actuality, he is a vampire hunter searching for Dracula. That doesn't go as well as he planned, as he gets got. But what's interesting is there is a woman who we mentioned before, the maid who the woman who played the maid in Slade.
Yeah, here's Valerie Gaunt. We'll get her on there.
Yeah, she sort of pops out of nowhere and is like, "Oh my God, help me! I'm being kept prisoner by Dracula. He's so bad." And he's just like, "Whatever." Yeah, and then when he doesn't return from Dracula's castle, that's when you get introduced to Peter Cushing, who plays none other than Van Helsing.
Oh, hang on, I've got him looking absolutely suave. Where is he? Oh, just a second. Oh, look at that.
Swaggerific. Yeah, so he then obviously gets concerned. They find a diary of Harker's, which is sort of been dumped. He goes and informs the family, but doesn't tell the wife about Harker's demise. Harker, sorry, I should go back and say Harker does kill the maid. Well, I'm calling her the maid just because of previous references, but he goes back, kills her. Dracula kills him. Dracula also knows that he's married because he sees a picture of his wife when he's setting himself up in his room. So Dracula goes back to basically get the wife of Harker.
It's a little bit of a revenge thing, you know. You took my wife.
Yeah, I'm gonna take yours.
Wife.
Yeah. You steal my girl, I'm gonna steal yours. Yeah, and you have, and it's just a bit of a back and forth really between Dracula, Cushing, and Alfred Pennyworth.
Oh, you noticed?
I noticed.
Yes, I don't. Oh, have I got a good shot of him? I'm not sure I have. I'm just going to look for one of Michael Goth. I may have stinged. Oh, you've got a side on. There you go.
He
does a side on of him with his freshly raddled wife.
Now, Dracula does do a successful Mr. Steal Your Girl on Harker, post mortem, of course. To which Cushing, or Van Helsing, and Alfred see to that. But then it becomes a Mr. Steal Your Girl for Pennyworth's wife, husband. Yeah, Pennyworth's wife. So it's just sort of, it's just a back and forth, really. It's like a football game where, you know, one team scores one and the other team equalizes, and, you know, it's 2-2 in the 90th minute and it goes into injury time. Who's going to get the last minute winner in Fergie time?
What are you doing talking football on this channel? You think I know what a football is? Get out of here.
I mean,
for analogy, strikers and
for analogies.
other positions that you play in that
Strike.
game.
Oh, we
That's
do
a-
like our right wingers in football.
We
And there are a few good left wingers too, but Beckham, Best.
I'd like to confirm that I do love Ngubu. Best player. No,
But yeah,
right, it's very
like that.
condensed.
It's
extremely
really
condensed. The
It's
battle
not-
for Lucy, then the
Yeah.
battle for Mina. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just that, and then at the end you find out who the winner is by watching matches. Essentially, it's if it was a full film, it would be like watching the match live. If it was, but as it's condensed, it's like watching the highlights on Match of the Day.
Yeah, I almost wonder at the time if it's because, how can I say, we know the Dracula story was so well known, so well adapted already that audiences were very familiar with it, to the extent that they had to call it Horror of Dracula because there are so many Dracula movies.
Yeah.
And maybe the fact that they are so familiar means that in adapting it, Sangster's like, to be honest, you kind of know this, so I can skirt over details because I think your brain will fill that in already.
Okay, another way to put it is like doing Spider-Man, but without the whole Uncle Ben beginning.
That is a great modern example. Yeah, everyone knows Uncle Ben. Everyone knows Bruce Wayne's parents die in the alley. You don't need us to show you that. We can kind of take it as read, like Batman v Superman. I can just do it. It can go in a montage. Have it in a montage. You'd be really, a really great example. So I do wonder if that was the vibe,
Possibly.
Let's see. So in saying all that, and you've summed it up very well, a condensed story. I don't know if it's helpful to talk about just how much is changed. I'll maybe throw out
swapping Nina for Lucy.
Yes, Jonathan being married to Lucy and not Mina is quite a massive change.
Yeah.
No Renfield character in there. You don't have Mina doesn't have the three suitors, although obviously in the books it's Lucy who has the three suitors who have got a lot of symbolic value to them. They just stripped all of that out. The other big thing is they basically don't do any globe trotting whatsoever. No, as far as I can tell.
London set, everything's set in Switzerland.
Yeah.
And the other one is Harker starting off as a vampire rather than getting dragged along for the ride by Van Helsing and being forced to be a vampire hunter.
Hang on, here's one. So John Gorris was asking, was Harker a protege of Van Helsing? Yes. I mean, he's hiding it at the start, but I think that's what we're meant to take away. Like, he already went in to kill Dracula, which was quite a shock, and him getting vamped himself. Oof. I've got to ask. I have to ask.
You become what
so
you say.
He goes. Harker goes into the crypts, having been bitten once, and he takes out the vampire woman, the maid, and then the sun goes down rather suddenly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel a tiny bit cheated?
Yeah, big time.
I thought you might have.
Yeah.
Well, why he decided he could have hit Count Dracula right there while he couldn't.
I know.
He could have spoiled the rest of the movie, but it's like he got handed the idiot ball, and it's I must save her first from herself.
It's like that scene in a Scary Movie where Carmen Electra has a choice between a gun, grenade, or banana, and she picks up the banana.
Amazing scenes.
Great scenes. Especially she was holding that banana, carrying around those two big melons.
She knew how to work that fruit salad.
But yeah, I thought that Murgy. I was like,
Mm.
why ain't he just taking out Dracula first? I mean, clearly that's the whole reason why he's there.
Mm.
But it would have cut 70 minutes off the movie.
Yeah, it would have done, but again, logic.
I'm impressed by Leslie Russell's knowledge here, by the way. Yeah, I have not seen the Todd Browning version for a long time, I'm afraid. So
Oh wow.
I can't do my comparison for that. But I liked your point that in the US, they put this alongside the 1931 Dracula, the James Whale one. Oh, that would be a heck of a double bill. I would love that. As I want to say, they were learning when they did this stuff. I've got a few points here, which I've just labelled a bad shot. And it's from the same scene. I've got a bad shot and a good shot from the same scene.
Okay.
And this is from the introduction of Dracula. As I think I covered last week, Terence Fisher, the sort of regular director in Hammer, he was not a horror director. He became a horror director, but I think he was learning the ropes. I absolutely loved Curse of Frankenstein, but I think I would say the directing was a bit unremarkable in that, barring a few shots. In this, I think we've got some distinctive shots, but a few notable misses that he wouldn't do again. Whereas by the time they do The Mummy the next year, I think Fisher has really got a much better idea of how to do things. Like for comparison, we started with a really nice crawl over the scenery from this eagle around to the door, down to the crypt. Sort of, it's the hint that there's this majesty and everything is proper, but there's also a danger. It's a nice story told just with the scenery you move around. But in contrast, when Dracula introduces himself, he walks right up into the camera and stands way too close. And then you remember the reverse shot from Jonathan Harker. It's the same. It's like right up in his face. It's awkward. It's sort of.
I think it was meant to be intimidating, and it just came off as, huh?
Yeah, just awkward framing, like soap opera framing. It's the A/B shot, shot, reverse shot. It's a bit too close. You can't get it in perspective. It's a bit awkward, and it's kind of flat, especially because you get the same for Harker.
I mean, you can. Okay, I'm going to sort of play a bit of devil's advocate here. You can. I think I can see what he was trying to do. I mean, if you sort of look at the position of the camera, it's sort of below Christopher Lee, it's sort of pointing up at him. So it's exerting this kind of dominant figure compared to Harker. It's almost like trying to visualize Christopher Lee's Dracula as being almost like a superior being in that kind of way. And there's also something, there's also a certain uncanniness at the uncanny valleyness of him with regards to sort of how pale he looks in comparison to sort of like what you would expect someone who has a pulse is would have. And what you got to remember as well, like when this actually, Patrick's just said it now, this would have been projected on a cinema screen at the time, so it would have been big,
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're making great points, especially like the slight undershot, that's classic Leni Riefenstahl technique.
Right.
You go, I mean, Michael Bay loves it too. Shoot your heroes from slightly upward, like you're looking up at them and admiring them. But Harker gets the same treatment. And I'm with you, but it's just the top of his head's cut off in this shot.
Yeah, I did notice that. I'd say it's more of a devil's advocate thing because I noticed that you get that picture for free if you had that taken at Madame Tussauds. Just saying.
the idea could be there, but just unfortunately Harker was given this basically the same treatment. Like this with just like Lee close up and maybe Harker, we're looking down on him a bit more. He's a bit distant. Maybe Lee is walking towards him, you know, you just get that sense of intimidation. Whereas I just think this was a little bit amateur.
It was also quite funny how he was effectively like a bit of a butler at that beginning.
Oh,
that
yes.
beginning bit when you see him, you know, go hello there, mi casa su casa.
Well, you say that. I really liked that, and that was very deliberate. Christopher Lee said that he found in Dracula like this real sort of loneliness and tragedy. Like the man is abandoned. He's here on his own. He's got this woman he keeps around, but he has to keep her there, and she tries to escape. It's like there's this real sadness about him. I like it. You know, it's always a bit desperate that he has to, you know, he has to do the butler duty. He has to make his guests food, put a pineapple on the tray for them.
Well, perhaps if the lad stopped eating his house guests, he wouldn't have this loneliness issue.
Yeah.
You know, be selective, dude. You know.
True. I threw this shot in as like a contrast. Like, this is amazing. This is a great shot. Like, just the positioning. Christopher Lee is closer to you, so he immediately looks bigger. Harker is both further back and behind. You've just got this idea of how at ease Lee is, how fumbling Harker is in comparison, how much weaker he is, how on the back foot he is. Lovely little shot. Nice and subtle detail. That was good. It was nice and dynamic how the camera got to move as well. That was nifty. So just comparison, same scene, one good shot, one bad shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'll also say this hallway.
I would have. I would
You're
have
going to
liked
see
it.
this again.
See, I would have liked this, right? If the whole sort of scene panned out in this one camera shot that you've got now. You'd have Harker at the bottom of the stairs. The top would be sort of darkened out a little bit so that Dracula would almost appear as like a silhouette, speaking to him from the distance. And then you just throw in an extra, you know, as a bellboy or someone like that to take the stairs. But you still have the same dialogue, but there's a distance. There's all, you know, like a bit of mystery. And then, you know, as he's being led upstairs, Dracula moves away out of, you know, further, you know, he moves away much sooner. And then, yeah. So, you know, you're kind of like, oh, I wonder what he's about, you know. And then the whole bellboy thing could do that dialogue with, you know, I'm giving Christopher Lee less lines here. He only talks for the first 10 minutes of the film, you know, and you can do that whole sort of like hospitality greeting bit, you know, at the beginning, with an extra, if you will, and then the door gets locked, and then everything sort of plays out the same way.
Well, that could work. I mean, it would make a nice use of this space, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, that is a really good point you had, that he only talks in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, this is a big step up on Curse of Frankenstein. Like, this might be a bit shocking to people that you talk about the great Christopher Lee, and it's like, oh yeah, he's Frankenstein's monster. He doesn't say anything.
Wow.
And he only shows up halfway through the movie. And in this one, he gets to do a heck of a lot more, but he still stops speaking after 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, or in The Mummy where he doesn't say well, he does as the priest in the flashback, but everything's done by him emoting physically and with his eyes.
Oh, do I think... A question from Patrick Batman. Do you think Lee's performance informed Doug Bradley's Pinhead? Gosh, if you just mean the Dracula one... Gosh, it's hard. He starts off very reserved and aristocratic, but the savagery and desperation is always behind there. Whereas I don't You do see Pinhead sort of express a lot of anger, but I think he remains far more reserved. So I'm not sure about that. I struggle to see it. It could be. I don't think I've ever heard Doug Bradley talk about that as an inspiration.
Yeah, Bradley or Barker. I don't remember any comments about Dracula.
Yeah, I'm not as sure about that one. I'll also say evening to 77th Brigade and evening to Ed D. Could see and T. Gosh. We might as well get into some of the territory. We've talked about how this is. I don't know if I said this, but by the way, this exact bar set is the same one in The Mummy. From early on, it's the exact same set. I think the only thing distance is there is a bar slightly more prominent here, built in, and you don't have a Rotwein sign. But yeah, I just recognized it. It was the same angle. I was like, oh yes, I recognize this bar set. So something raised is here by Tears of what is this film's idea of what Dracula is? Because there are some elements here that we're probably a bit used to, but is very new at the time. And that is the sort of the sexual aspect, the eroticism. Folks, I know you saved us from covering horror and the erotic for a second month in a row by voting for something not that. But I'm afraid, guys, we're circling the drain on that one. We're going to have to cover it eventually. And Hammer is pulling us towards the erotic, I'm afraid. So T, you're making a very good... So this comment T's made about it's warning 50s English people about swarthy horror. I mean, we've got to remember that... Do you mean 1850s? Because the
1880s.
Okay, so the Bram Stoker novel 100% has that in. Now, I'm going to talk about some of that stuff that's in the novel that is partly in this, but I think we'll talk about the erotic stuff first.
Before you do, can I just point out a little inconsistency in this film?
Oh, yeah.
It was only because I was going through the trivia. So at one point in the film, spoiler alert, guys, there is a young girl in this film who Dracula and you know his bride, whatever you want to call her, tries to take, and
Lucy takes her off into the woods.
Yeah.
Hang on, I've got that.
And Van Helsing, bless him, you know, they rescue her, or like, you know, stop, you know, prevent the kidnapping, and he's sitting there and he's wrapping her up in like this coat, and he turns around to her and he says, "Oh, you look like a little teddy bear," or "You look like a teddy bear." Now the film itself, I think, was set in the 1880s, and the term teddy bear wasn't coined until I think it said 1903.
Ooh.
And that was Theodore Roosevelt.
Yeah,
that was an American thing, not quite a British thing.
Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out because I read the trivia and I wanted to sound smart for this stream. And I mean, the thing that I found that I shared with you, which is what this image is about, is not on the trivia. I found out myself, and I couldn't believe it.
Oh, dear. Nice catch. Oh, you know what? Actually, before we talk the sauciness, there is actually one other thing I should bring. When we talked about the direction, the good shot, the bad shot, you directing us to this scene made me think there's actually something that's quite a big innovation in this that's really good and worth pointing out. And that is a really subjective camera that Terence Fisher starts using. What the heck does that mean? What's a subjective camera?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Okay, so that's the idea that the camera is really trying to convey a very distinct perspective. And it doesn't have to acknowledge outside reality as much. And if you try and think about things objectively and logically, you'll get some problems. But things are meant to make sense as if the camera had a personality. Okay?
Right.
So what the heck that means is a scene like this, where the vamped up Lucy approaches her brother and tries to turn on him. And I use the wording in that specific order.
Yeah, in that order. Yeah, there was no. Yeah.
There's a, she does, well, you can interpret this how you like. It's actually, a bit close to, there's a bit of Haribo in the original novel, a bit of the, she particularly wants to grab the kids, seriously. Anyway, so she approaches him and there's nothing to protect him. Then there's just like a couple of seconds later, suddenly.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Now, where Helsing is to get that shot, which looks gorgeous, she would have seen him.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Oh my God, I thought that too. I thought, where the hell did he pop up from?
So basically, what I'm trying to say is Fisher is directing this to give you like a strong subjective experience. Try not to think about it too much.
Yeah.
But enjoy it. Like have a big impact. It's kind of like. Do you remember Iron Man 2?
I do remember Iron Man 2.
Okay, so when Black Widow fights her way down a corridor, and it looks really cool, and you see, but if you've got a very subjective cam, if you take a moment to think about it and think where people go, you realize, oh, someone was just standing in a doorway and not acting, like a tiny alcove, and then had to come out of that alcove in full sight of her, wait for a few seconds, and then attack. It's like, it's that sort of thing. Like outside of the world of the camera, you've got to think these people do continue to exist. And if they still exist, what were they doing before they entered the shot? Anyway, so you can pick at this stuff. It's not realistic, but it is very cinematic. So this is what I would say is, I would call it an improvement in Terence Fisher's style, because he's used it to deliver a stronger shock. We also get a really cool bit of horror lore here as well. That crucifix goes on her head and burns it. Does this remind you of anything? And I'll offer it to chat as well. Chat, did this remind you of anything? I'm just going to leave this hanging. It's one of our favourite films on this channel. All right, I'll leave it and maybe see if chat gets it. Oh,
Fright Night.
It's come in already. John Gorris, absolutely nailed it.
Okay.
All right. If people aren't familiar, where is it? Here's our boy, Evil Ed. Gets it in all
less like an X and less like a cross and more like the letter X.
Yeah, you can see that. It's but the slanting as well. Yeah, it's a very, very direct tribute, which I thought was lovely. Also, I apologise to this wonderful actress. I've caught her in like the goofiest pause frame.
And the last one was quite goofy as well. But that's the thing about the acting style back in the day. It was all very sort of animated and emotive. I mean, like right at the very end, Cushing's expressions when he's doing away with Lucy, when Helsing's doing away with Lucy, it's just so like. I'm not on camera, but the hand gestures to the forehead and the quick turn away to the wall, sort of spreading. It's like a 90s music video, like expression, like the pane of window with the rain falling down the opposite side while he's singing about the girl that he longs for. It's literally like that. It's just unrealistic, and unfortunately this is kind of what turns me off these films back in from back in the day. I'm more tolerant of it now. Because I'm more appreciative of the other things, but just the acting style sometimes just didn't really work for me. Like, yeah, sure, that's your sister, or that's your sister getting yeeted.
Yes,
but it's like you don't have to act like such a drama queen about it. There's no like real emotional no real emotion being conveyed there. It's purely theatrics, and it's just like, okay.
Yeah, it is the theatrical style.
Yeah,
is in there, that a sense of reserve. It's not going for full realism at all.
I don't imagine a geezer from the 50s or the 1800s or any time period, doing the the body motions that Peter Cushing was doing in that precise, not Cushing, sorry, Alfred Pennyworth was doing in that precise moment, you know.
I thought he did a good job. I
It was
loved seeing
for its
an
time,
early Michael Goth.
For its time, yeah, I'm sure he would have got like praised and all the accolades and stuff. But I'm just saying, like, if you look at if you compared it to sort of like the acting styles of today, it's more based in sort of reality in terms of how you would react emotionally to that kind of situation. Imagine The Matrix, when Neo dies at the end and Trinity, just sort of like puts the back of her hand on her forehead and just sort of recoils like, oh.
It was a more dignified time, TCG.
I'm sure, but yeah, I don't know.
I've got to say, like, it's a stylistic thing, but
yeah,
I really go for it. But I mean, I've got this bias, Dead of Night is one of my favorites. I like the old school style, and there's just this vibe of, how can I say, just class. Like, look at this classy dude.
Things like this I can get behind. I mean, that I think someone said Peter Cushing was so polite in this film. Like, he came out like a proper gentleman. That for me was believable. The scenes like when they're just interacting with each other normally, I can believe that. It was just when they got to, those sort of theatrical moments, the high intense emotional points. Where it kind of a bit like, okay, all right. But I tell you, but again, sorry to keep jumping in, but things like the absolutely non-choreographed fight scenes, I love that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, no, I love that sort of stuff because it does, that to me feels more real because it's not like it's less of a dance, isn't it? No, that for me works better. I mean, let's say the end scene with Cushing and Dracula. That really worked for me.
Yeah, there is a rawness. Like, you do feel it's not been highly choreographed at all, and Fisher plays out a lot of the fighting in just long shots.
Yeah,
which means you see, he's definitely grabbed her and thrown her. Oh, he definitely slaps her, and then they are tussling. It's quite nice. Again, it feels like when you watch a stage play. John Garcia, the fights were quick and to the point. Yes. Yeah. Then, I mean, the whole movie, really. I do want to say...
One thing I found interesting as well, actually, sorry, while you're putting up the next point, about Dracula, it's just because John mentions that. I felt like he was portrayed to be quite strong. I was surprised that fight wasn't more one side. It wasn't kind of like a squash match in Dracula's favor, because at the beginning, when you see Dracula carry the maid, it's like she's weightless. Now, like, Christopher Lee isn't exactly like the biggest guy.
Christopher Lee is 6'5" and 205 pounds.
I mean, he doesn't. I mean, he looks gangly in this film.
He's not like huge and hench, though.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just so effortless the way he sort of picks up and walks off. It's almost like she is weightless, and then it happens again later on in the film. And I mean, that could just be natural, but it did look like. It was almost like wire work was at play. There's like the way he just sort of flipped her up and then walked out like she weighed nothing. To me, sort of gave that vibe that Dracula was. I mean, we're talking about lifting up a woman. It's not exactly hard, but just the manner in which he did it made it look like it was easy. Like picking up a toddler. And
he solved it. I mean, I don't have any trouble believing that Christopher Lee can pick up a girl with no problem.
Of course, absolutely. But it was just that. What I'm trying to say is, it's the way in which he does it makes it look like it's conveying. It's a subtle way of conveying Dracula's sort of superior strength.
Oh yeah,
in my opinion, because of the way he does it. If you go back and watch the way he picks the women up and walks off, I say it's literally like you get a toddler run up to you and you sort of throw them up in the air. It's like that, not like just standard picking up a woman, like, carrying her across the threshold after you get married. It's like picking up a toddler. It's really cool. It's really cool the way it happens. I didn't sort of think wire work, but then no.
just a strong dude, I reckon. But
Yeah.
it's all part of selling it.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I want to say, massive thank you, Patrick Batman, sending in £10, very much appreciated. Asking, is there any Dracula media that delves into Dracula's connection to the Romanian myth of Scholomance that is mentioned in the book? Scholomance is basically evil Hogwarts that is run by the devil. Well, I do not know about that.
Closest I've seen is a couple of Bram Stoker's Dracula, where it goes into the ritual he does to break himself from God. But that's the closest I've seen.
There were more sort of occultic ritual elements certainly in the 1992 Dracula. You know, the blue fire circles that are lit to highlight treasure is a sort of very weird element. It doesn't seem to fit in anything today, but it is in the original, and it was kept in the 92. But I'm afraid that in particular is a bit odd to me, but it does link to one of the elements. We'll move on now to sort of what Dracula represents a bit here, which is slightly feisty territory, so bear with me, chat. But thank you very much, Patrick Batman, £10. Very much appreciated. So yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about there's so much we can say about this one, but one of the differences, one of the things that was added, and maybe one of the things that was reduced but kept, and one of the things added in this is the sensuality, the erotic. This is the idea of Dracula as that temptation. One of the posters that comes out is who will be his bride tonight, you know, and that, like, bride tonight. There's already a blasphemy there. Like, it's not bride forever. It's no, basically, who's he going to bed? This danger of the virtuous girl being corrupted, giving into temptation, is absolutely sown throughout the movie. From the start, when he has a woman he keeps around dressed like this, to the early scenes where we see Lucy, and I've got to remember to call her Lucy because of this version and not the proper version. This is saucy stuff. Basically, she's in bed, and a lot of the women will be attacked in bed. Wink, wink, look at the camera, attacked in bed. Or basically you see them retreat to the bedroom and lie down, and they just look at Dracula expectantly. You know, after she's apologized for being a bit of a state to Arthur and Mina here, they go away worried about her. She then goes and opens the door, you know, and then she lies back in bed.
Well, she opened the sash, and the sauciest shot was showing her back and the light shining through the semi-translucent dress and seeing her silhouette on the nightgown.
Yes. Oh, I mean, also, I would say the saucier shot than that, not that wasn't a bit, you know, saucy, is this. She pulls down her nightgown to the little love bite left on her and is touching it sort of yearningly. Like, this is a really good performance. I want to say Carol Marsh. Let me confirm that. Carol Marsh as Lucy does an absolute great job here. She really gets to convey a lot of that sensuality. Like, this isn't that the monster is something you're absolutely terrified of. This is a monster representing a sort of moral problem, that temptation that she's falling to. And as was already brought up, yes, there is where did T say it? The what's that? Well, hang on. John Gross, it's kind of hot when she shows her neck holes.
Oh my lord.
I mean, don't clip it, chat, but yeah, it's a little bit saucy, isn't it? I mean, she's giving a bit of a coquettish, coy look, you know, there's no doubt what she wants. We'll see her attacked in bed. We will see Mina attacked in bed. Now, in this one, She's expectant. He comes in. There's a look of trepidation, you know. It's not her first time, but, you know, it could still hurt. And Dracula, you know, she retreats to the bed, awaits the man, the tall, dark stranger, to come in. And he sort of covers her with a cloak as he leans in to do his business. Now, that cuts us as the audience off, right?
Yeah.
Appropriate for the time, again, 1958. The next time, very cannily, we get the same scenario. Mina retreats to the bedroom, lies back, looks sort of expectantly. Dracula covers with the cape and then closes the door.
Yes.
Right? But after that, we're not cut off. Suddenly, the next shot, we're inside the room. I don't know if have I got a footage of that. I haven't got footage of that. But it's suddenly shocking to us because now we're seeing even more than we saw last time. And then we see Dracula like sort of kiss her and ravage her before he goes on to do a bit more. But it sort of, it builds up and intensifies the intimacy. Now there was a comment by T. I just want to find, there we go. So warning about swarthy foreigners. It's kind of in there, yeah. In the original novel, there is a lot, it's much more international, you know, there's all sorts of comments about how different the world is the further away you go. The fact that something is far away means weirder stuff can happen there. That's integral to the novel. This being all condensed into Switzerland, you kind of lose that. But there is an idea about the sort of the danger of the wealthy outsider that's kind of retained here. The idea of in an international place, you've got to retain your virtue. And Dracula here represents that new money, that new technology coming into Britain and possibly messing up the old order.
New recipes.
New recipes, yeah. I mean, a big thing is, we mentioned it earlier, Lucy has the 3 husbands. Well, they're from all over the place. So I think one of them represents a sort of typical English restraint. The other is, was it Quincy, the big American dude? I forget where the other one is from, but the idea is like they're international as well. And they all want Lucy. It's so the idea, yeah, there's a message there about the sort of the want on it and the danger of that sort of well, that particular desire, you know. Dracula is nothing but a creature of that particular want. I talked for absolutely ages there. Sorry.
Don't be.
And Christopher Lee, absolutely really happy to bring that element forth. I think even in the wiki, they've got him saying something. Hang on. Oh, let's see. Oh, there we go. So apologies for quoting Wikipedia, but this is Christopher Lee saying about Dracula. He had also to have an erotic element about him, and not because he sank his teeth into women. It's a mysterious matter and has something to do with the physical appeal of the person who's draining your life. It's like being a sexual blood donor. Women are attracted to men for any hundreds of reasons. One of them is a response to the demand to give oneself. And what greater evidence of giving is there than your blood flowing literally from your own bloodstream? It's a complete abandonment of a woman to the power of a man. See, Christopher Lee gets it.
Boom.
Okay, thank you, Devonte. You've backed me up there. As I say, it's been a bit of a mad week, so I haven't been able to do all the research I wanted to, but I was very glad that that quote was on there. As for the other element, the swarthy foreigners, well, that is sort of in there. So apologies, this is slightly spicier territory. It can be disputed, but there is a bit of an idea about Dracula being specifically sort of, we would call it an anti-Semitic thing right now. In the Bram Stoker telling of the myth, and certainly in like your Nosferatu adaptation by Murnau in, I want to say 1924?
23, I thought. I'll look it up.
That could be right. There are elements in the myth that do seem specifically Jewish and sort of leading to a bit of a warning. Now, I think there are... Okay, that sounds crazy. Have I spent too long on Odyssey? No.
I think you might have.
Okay, right.
1922.
Oh, no, 22. Well done, Mr. Murnau. Right. So there are just a few elements. Like, some stuff is always in there, but there's elements like coming from Eastern Europe, specifically. So you've got the migrations of Jewish populations from there around that time. So when that gets added in, it's like, okay, Eastern Europe, rich from Eastern Europe, a sophisticated European gentleman, but from Eastern Europe with other traditions, more sort of mystic traditions, would be a link to sort of more Jewish practices that are not particularly well understood and seem odd to Victorian Christians. There's an element specifically of being afraid of the cross. There are others. I mean, you can look quite deep into this if you want to. It can go into some quite, how can we say, Q places if you want to. But there are those elements that are sometimes leaned on in the myth. Now, those have sort of moved out. And of course, vampires have served many different purposes over the years. But when we're going for the early vampires, that is kind of in there. And there's a little odd moment in this that made me think they are bringing that in. I don't know if you noticed this. Do you remember The Undertaker?
Briefly, yes.
This one.
Miles Mallison.
Well, what was the name of the shop?
Marks.
Yeah,
Marks. Now, what does he do? He's an undertaker and mortician. He's the carriage takes Dracula, this Eastern European foreign threat, to Marks. He finds himself in Marks in his European base. Now, Marks obviously moved to London, from whence he propagated his philosophy. So it's sort. You could read this as tying it together. I mean, of course, J Marks is only one away from K Marks.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's a little weird thing to think of, like Marks helping transport the vampire around. Now, how much do you want to read into this? Is this just a weird coincidence? Possibly.
Or is it a Cold War fragment? I don't know.
Oh, hey, there's an idea. Could it be that? It's hard to know. You're not exactly going to ask Jimmy Sangster. So, Jimmy, how spicy are you, Jimmy? But there are these odd. Sometimes the symbolism is used deliberately, and sometimes it just sort of hangs around and no one remembers where it came from. So it could be here.
They should have threw in a line. I believe you have a brother. You've heard of my brother, Carl. Yeah, he's a bit of a nutcase, but we unfortunately, we ostracize him. He is a bit of a sponge.
Oh,
he does not like the Jews very much.
Not a big fan, I've noticed. Not a big fan. But our actual Undertaker, I've pictured him here in the best screen cap we're going to get all night. I love that. I absolutely love that.
He's the best best comedic break aside from Road Guard.
No, yeah.
Yeah, that is a thing in you had a tiny bit of comic relief in Curse of Frankenstein. Like there's a man getting drunk as he makes unnecessary toasts. It was a little bit of comedy. Mostly it was not a funny film. And I think they realize in Dracula and definitely in The Mummy, actually a little bit of comedy goes down very well here.
Yeah.
Theremin Trees, you're on the money.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You are on the money. Damn, you guys are too good, chat. I can't get anything past you. You're too good, yes. That's Miles Mallison. Now, he is indeed the chap from the beginning of Peeping Tom, the man who came in for newspaper apples and some views, as he called them. I was thinking of an earlier film, and I was wondering if you caught it, because I heard the guy's voice, and I was like, "Hang on, don't worry, this is a bonus point if anyone gets it."
Oh my god! I mean,
Given that he's an Undertaker, Theremin Trees, you're too good. I might get us nuked here, but I'll give it. Well, T, you are indeed correct. So when I say, is it a coincidence that it's Marx the Undertaker and they cast this guy, who was a supporter of the Bolshevik Revolution, which, you could look at, is it an accident or is it just, I don't know, it's a hell of a coincidence. Anyway, what I was thinking of when I saw this fabulous guy was this. We're going to just enjoy this. I'll probably get copyright struck, but it's worth it.
Go for it. Oh my god!
Oh, I love it.
Absolutely
love it.
Yeah.
It's him.
Brilliant.
Playing the Undertaker again.
Or as I like to remember him, zoom in, good evening.
Of course, yeah, I play him every stream, don't I?
Mm-hmm.
Can I get it? Let's see. Let's just enjoy this. I realise I'm going to get double copyright struck because someone gets me for this every week.
Good evening.
There you go.
See, chat. It's all coming together. It's all coming together. All right. Yeah, I like this. I thought it was interesting. So for what it represents, obviously, as I was saying, they lean on the eroticism, and my goodness, they will intensify the eroticism. But I think there are some holdovers here. Holdovers about certainly worries about Eastern influence, worries about Jewish influence, that are holdovers from the original novel and certainly the 20s. That, I think how much is intentional? Hard to say. That stuff that's largely just going to be flushed away in later adaptations, I think. But it does remind me, while we're on this, I should be asking you where we go next. So forgive me typing. Someone else say something. I'm a slow typer.
Spin that wheel. Where are we going next, guys?
All right.
I've
nearly got
Go
over
here, or will we go there? Or will we go everywhere?
Right, the poll is in. Right, folks, get voting. So as we say, this is going to sort of lean into the erotic more and more. There are many, many sequels to Dracula. I'm going to somewhat skip over them for the moment. We're going to go a few along the line for when Hammer really leans into the erotic and vampires next. So you can vote. Let me know. Do we want to look at Twins of Evil or the Vampire Lovers next? And you can decide, chat. You can decide. Twins of Evil. They actually are twins, and they did Playboy. True fact.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm not going to vote because it would be like a TV presenter voting on his own competition.
Oh, you can express. I mean, look, you're going to get boober either way.
Oh, am I? Okay, well, I don't care.
Let me have a look. I'm just checking. There was a request for Ingrid Pitt. Well, Ingrid Pitt is in the Vampire Lovers, so if you want that, also, part Polish. Who knew?
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. There's my vote.
I mean, to be honest, you can't go bad with Ingrid Pitt, can you? Excellent. It's got a bit of a Jennifer Connelly type background by the look of it. Gosh, right, good. I'll leave that to go. We'll decide by the end of the episode. We've gone over 2 hours. I was going to say, we should probably give a little bit of focus on the climax if people want. Oh, sorry. One other thing just on the sort of eroticism angle, there's this bit when Mina's been seduced once.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say the actress did the most amazing job on this. That's Melissa Stribling. And she plays it like her husband's saying, like, how are you? And she's just like, fabulous. You know, she's basically delivering it like she's been rattled.
Yeah.
You know, like Ariana Grande, she's walking side to side. You know what I mean? Sadly, is that her only? I believe that's her only Hammer. Sadly, her only Hammer horror. Great disappointment because she's fantastic, but yeah, she delivers this basically. Being Patrick Bateman, the director's direction. Yes, the director said basically deliver it like Dracula's given you the time of your life. He used slightly more colourful language than I'm going to.
Wait, did he actually say that?
Oh, do you want the quote?
Yeah, go, just bring up the quote.
Yeah.
Gosh. Tell you what, I'm going to make you read it.
Are you going to make me read it? Okay.
Yeah.
Act out the scene like you got some bump. No, I'm not reading that.
Oh, gosh. Right. I'm going to post it in the private chat, and you can have a bit of fun with this.
Okay.
TCG, this is for you.
Okay. All right. In the scene where Mina returns after a night with Dracula, Fisher's directions to the actress were frank and unambiguous. When she arrived back after having been away all night, she said it all in one close-up at the door. She'd been done the whole night through. Please. I remember Melissa Stribling saying, Terry, how should I play the scene? So I told her, listen, you should imagine you have had one whale of a sexual night, the one of your whole sexual experience. Give me that in your face.
Oof, give that woman an Academy Award. I want to say I think she delivers it very well. Very well indeed. So being somewhat conscious of time and briefly showing you the comedy interlude of the Zollamthauser guy. You know,
the toll gate.
The toll guy.
Great. It's great.
It was a bit of fun. It was very nicely done, I think. Skipping towards the end, which again, 82-minute film, super fast. What struck you about the ending? I've talked for ages.
Yeah, for me, the ending, like I said earlier, I mean, it was brief, but I think what they did with the special effects at this point, exposing Christopher Lee to the sun, I think that was very, very ambitious for its time. And it made me go, "Oh, hello!" That actually works. I mean,
it was very effective.
Yeah,
especially for the time. I mean, I've seen far worse in the 70s and 80s for somebody turning to ash.
Exactly. I've not seen. Yeah, I mean, I won't lie and say it was the best like graphic like special effects that you'll ever see. But again, context, given the time, given when it was produced, I think it was pretty good, pretty ambitious, and it worked pretty well. Especially like the last bit, when his face is burning, and it's exposing his skull. And he's sort of like, that little like puppet hand sort of comes up and starts like clawing at his face. Yeah, it was cool. And like bits just falling off as well. Like, when you see the leg get burned and then the hand gets burned. And yeah, I quite liked it.
Yeah. I like when you bring in what you said earlier about the way the fights look kind of frantic and very like they're messy in a way that actually works for them.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so like, I really felt when Cushing just has desperation and just sort of suddenly gets up, runs along the table. It's so uncouth. Like he's been a really restrained guy the whole film, and to see him suddenly frenziedly chasing around, then running over the table, making a mess to pull the curtain down, it does feel surprising.
And then realizing he has one candlestick and looks at the other candlestick, grabs it, and makes the ad hoc cross, which was
very clever.
I love those candlesticks. I want some for myself.
Yeah, they are very cool. It's nice and improvised. It's using rules we already know. They've gone out of the way to sort of explain the rules to us in an interesting way. And I really appreciated that it wasn't staking again. It was so much more memorable to have him turn to dust and be sort of cornered.
Yeah, I appreciated that. I will say it was quite creative.
Question here from Panji. Is it the inspiration for Minime's Table Run? I have no idea. But the last thing I expected was an Austin Powers reference. So well done. Well done, Panji. How do you like this one? Was this a high scorer for you? I want to see a score. Yeah, just made it memorable, kept it varied. I mean, I think we saw the vampire woman, the maid, get staked. We saw Lucy get staked. Harker was done off screen, but in terms of the violence, I think that was still quite, touch and go. So it was really creative of them to do the disintegration. And it makes his death feel a bit more special. Because I think we wouldn't want to see him overpowered. Whereas seeing him tricked and being cornered, that was just a little more interesting. But maybe also just, I don't know, guys, I need to see my vampires dusted now. It just feels really weird to me if they don't turn to dust.
Yeah.
I can't get used to it. Anyway, so Devante, 82 minutes. What the heck is this atrocity? Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Sangster never, when he was adapting it, he never even included Renfields and nothing got cut out. It does feel extremely short, but I think it's just one of those things that we've gotten used to, mostly because we don't tend to go and see double bills anymore. Whereas back in the day, you might know this, so forgive me if I'm telling you stuff you already know, but cinema going was really, really casual. Like it was quite people would just drop in and drop out. And so it was really cool to just pop in the middle of a screening. And then you'd wait and sort of see, wait for the next one to start. You wouldn't care so much. You just sort of go in. Whereas it was quite a turnabout when Alfred Hitchcock in 1960 made a big deal saying that you had to be there for the start of Psycho. If you weren't there for the start, you would not be let in. And that was, that was quite a change in cinema going culture. And once you start people sort of making sure they go for the whole film, I think they just sort of take it a bit more seriously. So we start to demand longer films, more sustained narratives. We don't go in for the double bills as much as a consequence. And so certainly when we look at like an 82-minute movie, you do start to think like, hang on, I'm getting shortchanged here. I'm paying 16 quid to see this. Hang on. Give me another 20 minutes at least,
Wow. Well, remember this film was only 78 minutes, judging by the Prime runtime.
70. Oh, I can believe it.
Not even 82.
Was it Living Dead? Was it? 62-minute features. Oh yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of one. We've seen a lot of stuff in the 70s. I don't know about 62. I don't know if I've seen a 62-minute one. Yeah.
Oh, there are a few, especially the exploitation ones. I think. Let's see. There are a couple really strange ones on some. Trying to think.
Where they sort of pad it with stock footage. I'm over the hour. It's cool. I can be a feature. Yeah. All right. Murgut, did you have anything else on the end here?
It was really well done with some of the directing problems in the beginning. He really did well with the action scene at the end, and whoever they got to do the makeup and the special effects really really did well.
Yeah.
Beyond that, it's nothing like the choreographed that we have today, but as TCG said, it was because it wasn't choreographed, it looked more frenetic. It felt more in your face.
I like you saying frenetic. I definitely got that, like the sense that Dracula's losing his cool. That he does seem desperate, like he's cornered. It's great because we know the sunlight's there, and I suspect is weakening him, so he just has this panic. And I think Christopher Lee conveyed that really well as he goes on, like this sort of like desperate look here I've tried to capture.
Yeah, the one I was thinking of, really weird, bad movie. The only was Robot Monster at 66 minutes. And the only reason I remembered it was because in high school, I dressed up as Robot Monster, got the gorilla suit and skull mask, and went to a junkyard, or was it a junkyard or a thrift shop that I got the old 50s era fishbowl television set for the head, and that was pretty fun. Uncomfortable, but a lot of fun.
Oh, nice. I mean, a very memorable costume. Did you know that creature turns up on the TV in The Mouth of Madness? Yeah. Yeah, there you go. We got trivia for days. Yeah, I mean, I think it's extremely pacey. The frenetic realization of they've got to rush to save Mina, and Dracula has run out of time because of the sun. Great use of everything we've been told, culminating great performance, makes it tense, makes it feel panicked, run really fast, and then we end with a pretty cool effect. And then you'll notice, in classic Hammer style, he's killed, and then the movie basically ends instantly.
We got what we wanted. We don't know what happens next.
You don't need to know. I mean, Devontae, I know you get annoyed by that, but yeah, it's a very efficient. I was going to note another thing, actually. Sorry, just checking my notes. I said something we'd keep our eye on. Now, we got that smash ending there, just like last week, just like Curse of Frankenstein. I did notice we have dropped our intro text crawl. We don't have that anymore. We don't have a big load of text setting the scene for us anymore. It was there in Curse of Frankenstein. It's been dropped now. It wasn't in Dracula. It's not in The Mummy. I think they gave up on that after one.
Any ideas why?
I don't know. I think basically they're finding their feet. We get a few elements, like we've got, a stable director, we've got a stable writer, we've got the stable stars. They're going to build a little bit more of a kind of like Carry On, to be honest. Stable cast of actors that you recognize, whereas now it's a bit tight. They're trying things out a bit more. You'll also notice that we got to look at some bits of Bray Studios that are fresh, but some bits that were not there in Curse of Frankenstein. And I was saying to Murgut before we went live, my take is that they basically weren't around for the 1957, whereas that was so successful that on the back of that, they expanded the soundstage and set up a lot of areas in Bray that they would then get to use in all the others, but they just weren't around for the first one. So we're going to see that sort of evolution as we go on. I think certainly in next week's films, we should keep an eye out for a couple of things. And if I spot some of the ones that are like the iconography of Bray Studios, I'll save it for you guys so you can do the comparison. But with that said, okay, we're in danger of hitting 2.5 hours and angering Super Nanny. So I will quickly note that John Goris is correct. Business with a ring at the end that comes up in the sequels bit. Yeah. Yeah, they do a bit of a dodge here. The next one is Brides of Dracula. See, they're horny. Very horny when they write these things. But Dracula, is it Prince of Darkness next? It is Prince of Darkness. Prince of the Darkness. Lee is back, and I believe there's some interesting bloodletting to bring him back. And The Ring as well. It could be. I'm trying to remember. They realise you do need Lee for these films. Oh, Devante, annoyed by what? I meant by annoyed by the film ending so quickly. You know, basically not getting your money's worth. I mean, I can understand it. If you pay 16 quid and the film's over before you finish your popcorn, I'd be annoyed. Anyway. And Devante again, yeah, these films, they're very thirsty. You wait and see. You wait and see. With that, I should probably round us up. So I'll move us on to our scores and closing thoughts at this point. But just before you go into those, so start thinking what you're going to say, guys. And chat, we want to see those scores come in. I will just close the poll, see how we're doing. And it is looking... What do we got here? The Vampire Lovers have just won out over Twins of Evil.
Ooh. Does that mean I'm getting my Polish booba?
You are getting your Polish...
Getting my Polish booba. Thank you, chat. I love democracy.
Excellent, excellent. Two great... Oh, what are they called? No, I can't remember. I can't remember the Polish cakes. Never mind. Well, for completion's sake, chat, I will watch Twins of Evil as well, just so I can comment appropriately, or indeed inappropriately. And with that said, no, Pandaji, not on your own. I will be there. I'll be watching it too. It's you and me. We're going to take on the twins, right? Chat, get your own. All right. Moving on to sensible territory. Murgu, could I request your closing thoughts and score, please?
Well, they were getting on their feet with production and direction. They absolutely butchered the novel, which took a point off for me. The special effects were very good for the time. The comedic breaks were hilarious to me. I give it a solid 7 burgers with some ketchup and a little bit of cheese.
Fair play. 7 burgers with ketchup?
Mm-hmm.
Little cheese?
Mm-hmm.
No pickle?
No pickle in this one.
Oh. Really?
Nothing blatant.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. 7 ketchup cheese. Yeah, that's fair enough. All right. Fair play. I think there was a hint of pickle, but I do not interfere with scores. TCG, how about yourself?
Just before I go into it, if you go to the private chat, can you pull up the post that I put on X earlier today? Because in typical YouTuber fashion, we leave the big reveal until the end of
Oh my gosh, we didn't.
We didn't.
Yeah.
So
hang on. I can't do a Poe the person. I've got to minimize everything. Go on, you do the intro. I don't want to share my messages.
I'm sort of in agreement with Mergu on this. I'd probably give it about a 7 out of 12 burgers for me. You know, in terms of sort of like the time of when the film came out, the 50s, I say there were some things about the acting that to me felt very sort of dated, bit over the top theatrical, not really natural with how one would expect a person to convey emotions in a particular scene. But that being said, there were other parts. I mean, Peter Cushing was brilliant. Christopher Lee, of course, you know, did a great job as Dracula. And I was surprised they gave him so little lines, but actually I think it added to his character, giving him less to say, and more to do with how he portrays the actual character itself. But yeah, Peter Cushing as Van Helsing, man. I mean, what a gentleman. And also, I mean, he's got a good right hand when it comes to like slapping maids in the faces who are, you know, having a bit of a meltdown. Yeah, it was all right. I could watch it again. I could recommend it to other people. But yeah, shorter runtime. It was all right, but yeah, quite an abrupt endings can work sometimes. I didn't mind it too much in this one, I guess, but yeah, seven feels right. It's gonna have a bit of catch up in there, not too much though, not as much as I was expecting. One slice of that processed, you know, sort of McDonald's style cheese. Half of it's for the Undertaker scene, the other half's for the guy at the road barrier. Felt very Benny Hill, that did. But yeah, it was all right.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That's fair. Before I give my review, I'll say another massive thank you to Patrick Batman for dropping another £10. Very much appreciated. Giving a recommendation: Aliens Labyrinth, the book/Dark Horse comic. It goes into the psychology of the alien and how intelligent and pure evil they are. Makes them scary again. Read it again after Alien Romulus. Well, I don't know my comics, but a good recommendation for everyone, and I'll certainly give it a go if I got my hands on a copy. I like, you know, after recent sequels, I'd be very happy to see something handle it well. I saw so many people last week saying they were heading in to see Alien Romulus, and then there were comments on the video saying, "Do not do it. Do not do it." So maybe your recommendation will be very welcome from anyone who's been recently burned.
Oh, what was I say? What was wrong with Romulus?
I'll leave that to Critical Drinker and crew. I don't know if it's that bad. I mean, we all wanted it to do well. I mean, Fede Alvarez, you know, we like Fede Alvarez, but it seems it's not gone that well.
Right.
I haven't seen it myself.
That's a shame because people were saying the trailer looked promising, didn't they?
They can cut a good trailer, but it seems difficult to deliver. So thank you again, Patrick Batman. Very much appreciated. I'll also say thank you to the people who recommended Divinity 2023. I found it on Shudder. Really enjoyed it. Weird as hell. Totally weird and original. Some very interesting comments in there. Hidden comments about movie making. Jokes about screenwriter brain as well. Weird little movie. Again, very thirsty, but great recommendation, guys. Really enjoyed it. Divinity 2023. Worth a watch. It's weird, but I enjoyed it. Now, I was going to do my closing thoughts and scores. There's your bit of trivia we've got to get into, so I'll quickly wrap up and say I enjoyed it. I think this is Hammer finding its feet. Controversially, this is only going to get an 8 from me. And it only gets an 8 mostly because of the writing. I think we've gotten better performances, or strong performances again from Lee and Cushing. I think everyone else brought things up quite well, but there was a bit of stiffness and awkwardness with Jonathan Harker at the start. And I just feel like the condensed plot was too distracting, because just too many elements. I mean, Devonte raised it. Switching Lucy and Mina around, I found really distracting. I also felt like Harker's interaction with the vampire woman was quite weird, quite stilted, and that was very odd. So I think that's probably just a result of Jimmy Sangster is having to write this very, very quickly, and this wasn't his strongest. So I think that hampers it a bit. Whereas on the plus side, the comedy was good. Enjoyed it. It looked gorgeous. The Technicolor is great. It's so dynamic. I mean, where's this one image that I just thought was so gorgeous? This film is beautiful, stylish and lovely. The James Bernard score, really good. I can maybe go to an 8.5, but I just think on this one the writing is not there. But it's an improvement and the direction's picked up again. But I think it stays for me at an 8.5 burgers. Nice splash of ketchup, hint of pickle, and a nice slab of cheese, well distributed. So that's what I'd go for. I think room for improvement, and hopefully we will see it as we go on in our Hammer horror series. And we are dropping in at 10.5. So we've got quite a range. Some people really not going for it. Other people loving it. Nice strong 10s, saying it's cozy. It's definitely got a good vibe. And a recommendation for Taste the Blood of Dracula from Pandajit. I don't think I've seen that one. But thank you for the recommendation. I mean, folks, go forth. Almost all of these are on Prime. I also hear elsewhere on the internet. Now, TCG, we're so in the bad books of Super Nanny. Let's go ahead. TCG, I'm going to riskily share my screen. You put out this interesting
Oh my
tweet.
God, what have you got on that screen? Jesus Christ.
Don't make me nervous sharing Twitter.
You got a folder like Short Fat Ataki? Jesus wept.
Vouch moment.
Yeah.
Although I could believe Dev would get caught by that, but we shall not mention the leak.
Okay, so on the website formerly known as Twitter, I asked you, what do Dracula and CBBC's The Tweenies have in common? Of course, we would leave it right to the very end. The answer, if you scroll down a little bit further, you'll see the Right Honourable Fez very intelligently posted this screenshot. Now, this individual is called Lad in the film. He's credited as Lad. Now, his role is very, very short. Blink and you miss it. He basically goes to Alfred Pennyworth's house and tells, is it Nina?
Yes, Mina.
Yeah, Mina, sorry. Mina, that Alfred has asked her to meet at a specific place. However, he's not there. It's a bit of a ruse from Dracula himself. And I wondered, I was looking through the cast and I saw this chap and I thought, oh, his name's Paul Cole. And I thought, what else has he done then? What else has he done? And I did a bit of digging and it turned out that this lad, when he grew up, he went on to write and direct a kids show, The Tweenies, which was released in 1999. I think he did about 20 episodes of that. But for those who remember the children's show Rainbow, he also directed 20 episodes of that. So, yeah, went from Hammer Horror to Hammersmith with Savile.
Yeah. Oh, it all went a bit Haribo at the end.
But he didn't. As far as I know, he hasn't done anything like that. I'm just,
Oh, good.
But it's the BBC, so I mean, who knows? But yeah, basically, yeah, he did a complete 180 and went from horror to kids' family TV shows, which I thought was pretty funny.
It's a rare one, but a lovely bit of trivia, and thank you to Fez for posting Cole.
Yes,
very welcome,
lad. Oi.
And I'd also like to thank chat for none of you getting in that thread and spamming filth quickly. Since I'm
No, not at
sharing
all.
live.
Oh, Christ. Yeah.
All right, folks. There we go. Well, those are our scores and thoughts for.
Sorry, Patrick, the Tweedies look like multicolored bellends.
Oh dear. Stay. Well, folks, that is our coverage of Dracula from 1958. I tried to bait you into going for the Mummy, but you didn't take it. But you've chosen next week's. We're going to cover The Vampire Lovers. You can also do Twins of Evil as bonus homework if you want. And we'll be back with more horror facts. You have had our reviews of Dracula 1958. You've got next week's. You've got our shilling links. And you've got an invitation to join me tomorrow night on Harrian's channel for his Laughing at the Guardian with some women 100th episode. Follow me on Twitter and I'll post a link there so you can see it. That'll be kicking off about 9. But yeah, that is maybe a slightly longer show than expected, but there's a lot to say. Heck of a lot to say. Oh, thank you, Patrick. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. All right, folks. Well, it's been jolly. You've got your homework, and I will let you go now. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you've got a lovely Friday and a lovely weekend ahead of you. And I will see you next week for us covering Twins of Evil. So thank you to my guests.
Pleasure as always. In fact, I'm so happy because I made it through the whole thing. I'm supposed to be testing from 9 o'clock, got delayed by half an hour, and there's a system issue. So I'm still waiting to begin. Great.
I'm delighted.
I'm getting paid for it, though. So, like, jokes on them.
You love to see it.
I know.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, chat. I'll catch you next week. Thanks, y'all. Cheers.
#Shield Gang. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Have a great evening.